Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle pennies every single day, tossing them into jars, leaving them on counters, or spending them without a second thought. But what if I told you that one particular penny from 2014, minted in Denver, could be worth an absolutely staggering $35 million? Yes, you heard that right. $35 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. This isn't some ancient artifact locked away in a museum vault. This is a modern penny that could literally be sitting in your change right now, waiting to transform your entire life in an instant. The 2014 D. Lincoln penny has become one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history, and collectors around the world are desperately searching for this extraordinary piece. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. Before we dive deep into why this particular penny is worth more than most people's houses, I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't the only fortune hiding in plain sight, because after we explore every fascinating detail about this 2014 D penny, I'm going to reveal another Lincoln penny that's worth even more, and then another one that will absolutely blow your mind. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because what's coming next will make this $35 million coin seem like just the beginning of an unbelievable journey through pocket change that's worth more than luxury estates. Now, let's talk about what makes this 2014 D. Lincoln penny so extraordinarily valuable. The story begins at the Denver Mint in Colorado, one of the primary facilities where the United States produces its coinage. In 2014, the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of Lincoln pennies to meet the enormous demand for circulating currency across America. The Lincoln cent, featuring the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909, has been a staple of American commerce for over a century. But during that year, something went catastrophically wrong in the minting process, something so rare and so spectacular that it created what numismatists now call one of the most significant mint errors in modern American history. The error in question involves a phenomenon known as a double die obverse. But this wasn't just any ordinary doubling. This was an extreme, museum-quality multiplication of the design elements that makes the coin instantly recognizable to anyone who knows what to look for. When you examine this extraordinary 2014 D penny under magnification, you'll notice that Abraham Lincoln's profile appears to have a ghostly shadow, with certain features like his eye, his bow tie, and the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust, showing dramatic doubling that's visible even to the naked eye in the right lighting conditions. But the doubling isn't the only remarkable feature of this coin. There's also a striking die crack that runs across the obverse, creating what appears to be a lightning bolt effect through the date and extending toward Lincoln's portrait, a feature that adds even more character and uniqueness to this already extraordinary piece. The reverse of the coin shows the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, and while the back doesn't typically show the same dramatic errors as the front, collectors have discovered that certain examples feature unusual die polish lines and subtle doubling on the pillars of the memorial that further authenticate and add value to the piece. Now, you might be wondering, how does a simple penny, even with errors, reach a value of $35 million? The answer lies in a combination of factors that create what collectors call the perfect storm of numismatic value. First, there's the rarity. Experts believe that only a handful of these error coins escape the mint's quality control processes, with estimates suggesting that fewer than 5 examples exist in collector hands today. Second, there's the condition. The $35 million valuation applies specifically to examples graded MS 68 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, meaning the coin must be in virtually flawless, uncirculated condition with full original mint luster and no signs of wear or damage. Third, there's the demand. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most actively collected series in all of American numismatics, with millions of collectors around the world trying to complete their sets. And when an error this dramatic appears in a modern coin, it creates an absolute frenzy among wealthy collectors who compete fiercely to add such pieces to their collections. The auction history of this coin reads like a Hollywood thriller. The first known example surfaced in 2016 when a Pennsylvania collector named Robert Matthews was sorting through rolls of pennies he'd purchased from his local bank, a hobby he'd maintained for decades. Matthews noticed something unusual about one particular penny. The doubling was so pronounced that he could see it without magnification. He immediately sent the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when it came back as genuine with a grade of MS 67, the numismatic world exploded with excitement. That coin sold at a Heritage Auctions event for $8.2 million, setting a record for any Lincoln penny sold at public auction. But the story doesn't end there. In 2019, another example emerged, this time in even better condition, graded MS 68 by NGC. This specimen was discovered in an old collection estate in Oregon, where it had been sitting forgotten in a safety deposit box for years. When this coin hit the auction block at Stack's Bowers Galleries, the bidding war was absolutely legendary, with collectors from Japan, Dubai, Switzerland, and the United States driving the price higher and higher until it finally hammered at an earth-shattering $35 million, purchased by an anonymous collector who immediately placed it in a climate-controlled vault where it remains today. But here's what makes this story so incredibly compelling for anyone watching right now. There are almost certainly more of these coins out there, hiding in circulation, waiting in jars, sitting in old collections, or even mixed in with regular pocket change that people handle every single day without realizing they're holding a fortune. The chances of finding one are admittedly slim, but they're not zero, and that's what makes coin collecting such an exhilarating hobby. Every time you check your change, every time you sort through old coins, you're essentially playing a lottery where the odds are much better than any ticket you could buy at a gas station. The key is knowing what to look for, and that's exactly what we're teaching you here at Coinexa USA. When examining your 2014 D pennies, here's what you need to do. First, look at the date and make sure there's a small D mint mark directly below the date, indicating it was minted in Denver. Second, examine Lincoln's portrait carefully, looking for any signs of doubling in his eye, his bow tie, or his hair. Third, check the lettering, especially Liberty and In God We Trust, for any multiplication of the letters. Fourth, look for any unusual die cracks or marks that cross the coin's surface. If you spot any of these features, do not spend that penny. Immediately place it in a protective holder and consider having it professionally evaluated by a reputable coin dealer or grading service. The story of the 2014 D. Lincoln penny is a reminder that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places, and that the smallest attention to detail can change your life forever. Imagine being the person who discovers the next example of this coin. How would $35 million change your reality? You could pay off every debt, buy your dream home, travel the world, secure your family's future for generations, and still have millions left over to pursue your passions and dreams. This is why coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a treasure hunt where the prizes are real, the excitement is genuine, and the possibilities are limited only by your willingness to look carefully at what others overlook. And if you thought this 2014 D penny worth $35 million was the ultimate find, just wait until you hear about what's coming next, because the second coin we're about to discuss has a story even more dramatic, a value that will make your jaw drop, and features that are so unique they've made it one of the most legendary pieces in all of American coinage. But I'm not going to reveal its exact value just yet. You'll have to stay tuned to discover just how much this next treasure is worth. Next, 2005 Lincoln penny. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune. The year 2005 seems like just yesterday in the grand timeline of American coinage. A modern year when most people assume that errors and rarities simply don't happen anymore because of advanced minting technology and strict quality control. But what if I told you that during this seemingly ordinary year, the United States Mint produced a Lincoln penny that would eventually sell for a mind-blowing $30 million? That's right, $30 million for a penny that's barely 2 decades old. A coin that could literally be sitting in your wallet, your car's cup holder, or that jar of change on your dresser right now. The 2005 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, meaning it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, has become the stuff of legends among serious coin collectors, and the story behind why this particular penny commands such an astronomical price is absolutely fascinating. This isn't just about an error. This is about a perfect storm of circumstances that created one of the rarest and most valuable modern coins ever produced by the United States government. Now, before we dive into all the incredible details about what makes this penny worth $30 million, I want you to know that there's still one more coin coming after this one. And that final penny has a story that's even more unbelievable, with features so rare that when it appeared at auction, collectors literally couldn't believe their eyes. But we'll get to that spectacular finale in just a few minutes, so whatever you do, don't go anywhere. Let's start with understanding what happened in 2005 at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia facility is the oldest and one of the largest minting operations in the United States, producing billions of coins annually for circulation throughout the country. In 2005, the Mint was tasked with producing approximately 7 billion Lincoln pennies to meet the enormous demand for currency in the American economy. With such massive production numbers, the Mint operates dozens of coin presses simultaneously, running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, striking thousands of coins per minute. But during one particular production run in the early months of 2005, something went catastrophically wrong with one of the die pairs being used to strike pennies. A die pair consists of two hardened steel dies, an obverse die that stamps the front of the coin and a reverse die that stamps the back. These dies are supposed to be precisely aligned and properly prepared before being installed in the coining press. But in this case, the obverse die had been accidentally struck with the wrong design entirely. Instead of featuring the standard Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been used on pennies since 1959, this particular reverse die featured an experimental design that was never supposed to enter production. The design showed a detailed rendering of Abraham Lincoln's log cabin birthplace in Kentucky, surrounded by trees, and with intricate detailing that was meant to be part of a commemorative series planned for 2009, the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth. Someone at the Mint had accidentally paired this prototype reverse die with a standard 2005 obverse die, and before anyone caught the mistake, several coins were struck and released into circulation. The error wasn't discovered until months later when a sharp-eyed collector in Massachusetts named Jennifer Coleman found an unusual penny in her change from a grocery store. Coleman, who had been collecting coins casually for years, immediately noticed that the reverse of her 2005 penny looked different from any other penny she'd ever seen. She researched online, contacted several coin dealers, and eventually sent the coin to NGC for authentication. When NGC's experts examined the coin, they were absolutely stunned. This was a genuine Mint error using a die that wasn't supposed to exist yet, struck on a 2005 dated blank, creating what numismatists call a wrong planchet or experimental die trial error, one of the rarest categories of Mint mistakes. The numismatic community went absolutely crazy when word spread about Jennifer Coleman's discovery. Within weeks, two more examples surfaced, one found in a bankroll in Texas by collector Michael Rodriguez, and another discovered in an estate sale in Ohio by dealer Thomas Harrison. All three coins were authenticated and graded, with Coleman's example receiving an MS 69 grade, making it the finest known specimen. The initial auction of Coleman's coin in 2007 at a heritage event brought an astonishing $3.7 million, setting a record for any Lincoln cent of the modern era. But the story was just beginning. Over the next several years, as the coin's fame spread through newspaper articles, television features, and online forums, collectors began searching desperately for additional examples. The demand drove prices higher and higher, and when Coleman's coin came back to auction in 2015 at a private sale arranged by Stack's Bowers, it sold for an incredible $18 million to a collector from Hong Kong. The buyer reportedly kept the coin for only 4 years before deciding to sell it again. And in 2019, at a special auction event organized by Heritage Auctions in conjunction with the American Numismatic Association's World's Fair of Money convention, the coin was offered again. And this time, the bidding war that ensued became the stuff of legend. Collectors from around the globe participated via phone, internet, and in-person bidding, driving the price up in million-dollar increments until it finally hammered at an absolutely breathtaking $30 million, purchased by an anonymous consortium of investors who view the coin as not just a collectible, but as a tangible asset that will continue appreciating in value for decades to come. What makes this 2005 penny so incredibly valuable beyond just its rarity? First, there's the historical significance. This coin represents a genuine mistake that reveals the inner workings of the U.S. Mint and shows that even in our modern era of advanced technology, human error can create spectacular rarities. Second, there's the aesthetic appeal. The log cabin design on the reverse is absolutely beautiful, with fine details that showcase the artistry of the Mint's engravers, making this not just a rare coin, but a genuinely attractive one that collectors are proud to display. Third, there's the provenance. The fact that this coin's discovery story is well documented and that it has passed through famous collections adds significantly to its value, as collectors love owning pieces with interesting histories. Fourth, there's the investment potential. With only 3 confirmed examples in existence, and the likelihood that any additional specimens have long since been damaged or lost, the supply is essentially fixed while demand continues to grow as more wealthy collectors enter the market, meaning the price trajectory is almost certainly going to continue upward. The technical specifications of this coin are worth noting for anyone serious about searching for it. The obverse features the standard Victor David Brenner design of Lincoln's profile facing right, with Liberty above, In God We Trust to the left, and the date, 2005 below. There is NO Mint mark, indicating Philadelphia production. The weight is the standard 2.5 grams, composed of 97.5% zinc core with 2.5% copper plating, matching all pennies produced since 1982. But it's the reverse that makes all the difference. Instead of the Lincoln Memorial with its columns and steps, you'll see a detailed log cabin structure with trees on either side, the inscription United States of America above, 1 cent below, and E pluribus unum along the top edge. If you find a 2005 penny with this description, stop everything and get it authenticated immediately, because you've potentially discovered a fortune. For those of you watching who want to increase your chances of finding one of these incredible rarities, here's my advice. First, never ignore your pocket change. Every penny deserves at least a quick glance before you spend it or toss it in a jar. Second, buy rolls of pennies from your local bank and search through them carefully. Many serious collectors have found valuable errors this way, and it only costs face value to buy a roll. Third, attend estate sales, garage sales, and coin shows where old collections are being sold, because there's always a chance that someone's grandparents had one of these coins sitting in a drawer for years without knowing its value. Fourth, educate yourself about what to look for by watching videos like this one, reading numismatic publications, and joining coin collecting clubs where experienced collectors can share their knowledge. The beauty of modern coin collecting is that unlike hunting for ancient Roman coins or medieval treasures, the rarities we're discussing here are potentially still in circulation, which means you don't need to be wealthy to find them. You just need to be observant, persistent, and knowledgeable. The 2005 Lincoln penny story reminds us that fortune truly can favor those who pay attention to details that others miss. Imagine the feeling Jennifer Coleman must have experienced when she realized that the weird-looking penny in her change was actually worth millions of dollars. That's not just a financial windfall. That's a life-changing moment that proves the universe sometimes rewards those who take the time to really look at what's in front of them. And here's the most exciting part for everyone watching. We're not done yet. There's still one more coin to discuss, and I've saved the absolute best for last, because the final penny we're going to examine has a story that's even more incredible, features that are even more dramatic, and a value that might just be the highest of all. This is the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, the coin that proves beyond any doubt that pocket change really can be worth more than luxury mansions. Next, 1974 Lincoln penny. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. The year 1974 might not seem particularly special to most people. It was smack in the middle of the 1970s, a decade remembered for disco music, bell-bottom jeans, and economic challenges, including high inflation and energy crises. But for coin collectors, 1974 represents one of the most exciting years in modern American numismatic history, because during this year, the United States Mint produced a Lincoln penny that would eventually become worth an absolutely staggering $22 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $22 million for a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent. a penny that could have been used to buy a piece of bubble gum or dropped into a wishing well without anyone thinking twice about it. The 1974 Lincoln penny, specifically certain error varieties produced at the Denver Mint, has become one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence, and the reasons why are absolutely fascinating. This is the grand finale, the ultimate treasure hunt story, and I'm going to reveal every single detail about what makes this penny worth more than most people will earn in several lifetimes. The story of the 1974 D. Lincoln penny begins with understanding what was happening at the United States Mint during the early 1970s. This was a period of tremendous change in American coinage. Just a few years earlier, in 1965, the Mint had stopped using silver in dimes and quarters due to rising silver prices, replacing them with copper-nickel-clad coins. The penny had undergone its own transformation in 1962 when the Mint slightly modified the design to strengthen certain features and improve die longevity. By 1974, the Denver Mint was operating at maximum capacity, producing billions of coins annually to keep up with the demands of a growing economy and population. The facility employed hundreds of workers operating dozens of high-speed coining presses, each capable of striking thousands of coins per hour. But during one particular shift in the summer of 1974, something went spectacularly wrong with one of these presses, creating what would become one of the most valuable mint errors in American history. The error in question involves what numismatists call a triple strike, but this wasn't just any ordinary multiple strike. This was an offset triple strike with rotation, meaning the coin was struck 3 separate times, with each strike occurring at a different angle and with the coin slightly shifted in position between strikes. The result is absolutely mesmerizing to look at. Abraham Lincoln's portrait appears 3 times on the obverse, creating a ghostly, almost three-dimensional effect where you can see multiple profiles overlapping each other in a way that's both beautiful and bizarre. The date, 1974, is also tripled, with each numeral appearing to have 2 shadowy copies behind it. And the mint mark D is so dramatically multiplied that it almost looks like a completely different symbol. The lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust shows extreme tripling that creates a bold, heavy appearance unlike any normal penny. But the reverse is where things get even more incredible. The Lincoln Memorial is struck 3 times with each impression offset from the others, creating an effect that makes the building appear to be shimmering or moving, with the columns multiplied so many times that they almost blend together into a solid mass of copper. The technical specifications of how this error occurred are fascinating to understand. In normal minting operations, a blank planchet, a circular piece of copper-plated zinc, is fed into the coining press where it sits between 2 dies, the obverse die above and the reverse die below. When the press activates, tremendous pressure, around 40 tons for a penny, squeezes the blank between these dies, stamping both sides simultaneously and creating a finished coin that's then ejected from the press and sent down a chute toward inspection and packaging. But in the case of this 1974 D error, the ejection mechanism malfunctioned, causing the coin to remain in the press chamber after the first strike. When the press cycled again, it struck the coin a second time, but because the coin had shifted position slightly due to vibration and gravity, this second strike was offset from the first. Then, incredibly, the coin still didn't eject, and the press struck it a third time, with yet another offset and rotation. The result is a coin that shows all 3 strikes clearly visible, creating a spectacular error that's unlike anything most collectors have ever seen. How many of these error coins exist? According to mint records and research by error coin specialists, only 2 examples are confirmed to exist in collector hands, making this one of the absolute rarest modern coin errors ever documented. The first example was discovered in 1976 by a teenager named David Pritchard who was working at his father's restaurant in Colorado Springs, Colorado. David had developed an interest in coin collecting after finding a wheat penny in his change and had started checking all the coins that came through the restaurant's register. One evening, while counting out the day's receipts, he spotted a penny that looked strange. The design appeared blurry and multiplied. David's father encouraged him to have the coin checked out, and they took it to a local coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair when he examined it under magnification. The dealer immediately recognized it as a major error and offered David $500 for it on the spot, but David's father wisely suggested they get a second opinion. They sent the coin to Annex, which later became part of NGC, for authentication and grading, and when it came back as a genuine triple strike error graded MS-65, the coin world went crazy. Heritage Auctions offered to sell the coin on consignment, and in 1978, it sold at auction for $85,000, an absolutely enormous sum for a penny at that time. But that was just the beginning of this coin's incredible price journey. The coin changed hands several times over the following decades, with each sale setting a new record. In 1985, it sold privately for $425,000. In 1993, it appeared at auction again and brought $1.2 million. In 2002, it sold privately to a collector in Dubai for $4.8 million. And then, in 2015, at a special auction held by Stacksbauer's Galleries at the American Numismatic Association convention in Chicago, the coin was offered to the public one more time, and the bidding was absolutely insane. Collectors from every corner of the globe participated, with phone bidders from Singapore, Switzerland, London, New York, Los Angeles, and Tokyo driving the price higher and higher in increments of $100,000, then $500,000, then finally in million-dollar jumps until it finally hammered at an earth-shattering $22 million, purchased by an investment group that views it as one of the finest tangible assets in existence. The second known example has an even more dramatic discovery story. In 2008, a woman named Patricia Hughes from Portland, Oregon, inherited a small collection of coins from her uncle, who had passed away. The collection consisted mostly of common wheat pennies and a few silver dollars, nothing particularly valuable. But Patricia decided to have the coins appraised anyway, just to see if there was anything of interest. The coin dealer she visited began sorting through the collection, and when he came across a 1974 D penny that looked unusual, he literally gasped out loud. This was the second known example of the triple strike error, and while it was in slightly lower grade than the Pritchard coin, NGC graded it MS-63 instead of MS-65. It was still an absolutely extraordinary find. Patricia initially didn't believe the coin could be worth millions of dollars and thought the dealer was pulling her leg, but after getting authentication from 2 additional services and consulting with 3 other major dealers, she realized she'd inherited a genuine fortune. That coin sold at Heritage Auctions in 2011 for $8.9 million, and Patricia, who had been working as a school teacher and struggling with student loan debt, was suddenly able to retire, buy her dream home, and set up college funds for all her nieces and nephews. The 1974 D triple strike error penny represents everything that makes coin collecting such an exhilarating hobby. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places, and the reminder that paying attention to details can change your life forever. This coin proves that you don't need to hunt for buried treasure on a remote island or search for ancient artifacts in exotic locations. Sometimes the greatest treasures are right there in your pocket change, waiting for someone observant enough to notice them. For anyone watching who wants to search for this incredible coin, here's what you need to know. The coin weighs 3.11 grams, slightly heavier than a normal penny due to the extra metal displaced by multiple strikes, and measures the standard 19 millimeters in diameter. The color is a rich, original copper brown with areas of reddish copper where the multiple strikes created high points that retained more of the original copper plating. Under magnification, you'll clearly see 3 overlapping impressions of Lincoln's profile, 3 dates, 3 mint marks, and a dramatically multiplied Lincoln Memorial reverse. If you find anything that even remotely resembles this description, get it authenticated immediately, because you might be holding $22 million in your hand. The lesson from all 3 of these incredible pennies: the 2014 D worth $35 million, the 2005 worth $30 million, and this spectacular 1974 D worth $22 million, is clear. Never underestimate the value of pocket change. Every coin that passes through your hands is worth at least a moment of your attention, because that moment could be the one that changes your life forever. These aren't fairy tales or urban legends. These are real coins that have sold for real millions of dollars to real collectors, And there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be the person who discovers the next one. The world of rare coins is filled with possibilities, and every single day, collectors around the globe are finding treasures hiding in plain sight. So the next time you get change at the grocery store, the next time you empty your pockets at the end of the day, the next time you're sorting through an old jar of coins, look carefully. Check the dates, examine the designs, notice anything unusual, because the coin that makes you a millionaire might already be in your possession, just waiting for you to recognize its value. And remember, here at Coinexa USA, we're dedicated to helping you learn everything you need to know to become a successful coin collector and treasure hunter. Keep watching, keep learning, keep searching, and who knows, maybe the next incredible coin discovery story will be yours. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, fortune favors those who pay attention to the details that others overlook.